Hi there YouTube, this is Daniel back again with another YouTube video, and this time it's one of those monthly comic book hauls. This time it's the books I picked up in June. It's 26 books in total, and it's gonna take a while to get through them, so let's just jump in. So first off we have Extremity number 4. This book is taking a bit of a turn in this issue, but it's basically a revenge story. I like the artwork. It's really interesting storytelling. I'm not sure if I'm gonna classify it as a sci-fi or a fantasy book, but it's a interesting story, and I think it's gonna take a bit of a turn now with some of the characters. But yeah. Hawkeye issue 7. I get the feeling that we are starting a new story arc with this. So the previous 2 issues with Jessica Jones visiting LA was probably just a 2-parter. But yeah, it shows to be interesting, and there's some family drama with Kate Bishop in this book. Savage Things issue 4 out of 8. It's a Vertigo series, written by Justin Jordan and drawn by Ibrahim Mustafa. And I find the artwork really works for this story. The story is really interesting as well. Action-packed, things happening. And yeah, there's this always these flashbacks to, or these time jumps back to when the guys or these people were kids and what they went through, which I find really interesting as well. And here's an example of the art. Reborn issue 6. Artwork is awesome. The storytelling feels a bit rushed, and I get the feeling that Greg Capullo got a job, or got this job at DC, and they had to conclude the story within 6 issues, or maybe it was meant to be a 6-issue run, but I felt that the conclusion of the story was a bit just convenient, I guess. But still, it's an enjoyable story, but I found the characters a bit lacking in, lacking in the way that they aren't as interesting as the stories I usually enjoy reading. But the artwork was just phenomenal, as always with Greg Capullo, and the coloring job by FCO Placencia. Yeah, a bit underwhelming as a whole, this miniseries. And this issue is a double size issue. Didn't feel like it when I read it, but yeah, still a good series in total, as a whole. Batman issue 24. Okay, wow. That caught me a bit off guard, even though the ending of it kinda got a bit spoiled for me when surfing social media, but that's the risk you take when you surf Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. So yeah, but I still enjoy the issue, really good story, and I'm really excited to see what they do with this relationship between Batman and Catwoman in the future. Then I jumped on a new series, The Defenders number 1, written by Brian Michael Bendis, and we have art by Alvaro Marquez, I think his name is. The artwork though is just awesome, and I really do like the paper they printed on. It kind of gives you a mix between newspaper and magazine style paper, which really works for this artwork. And throughout this issue you get introduced to the characters, It's a good introduction to each character for a new reader. If you haven't read like Luke Cage, the single issues, or his solo series, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, or Daredevil, you're gonna be fine. I think I haven't read any of those series, and I felt I knew what they were up to and who they were. It might help that I've watched the Netflix TV shows, but I find this story starting off well with a new villain, or an old new villain coming back to New York, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this for future issues. And then we have Grass Kings issue 4. I really do enjoy this series. The artwork with the watercolors really is interesting, and the characters are getting more and more fleshed out as each issue gets released, and I really want to know more about the history of this location, this lake, and the area around it. So they are building something big here, I think. There's this history, close history to these two communities around this lake, with a serial killer or presumed serial killer on the loose in the area, or have been in the area before. So it's a really interesting story. I really hope that the arc and the overarching arc will really prove worthwhile to read. The Flash issue 24, The Color of Fear. I think this, honestly, I have trouble remembering what this issue was about, but I think it was when Barry Allen was surprised with a surprise party. I think this follows that issue with Hal Jordan helping out. I enjoyed the artwork by Gian Domenico as always. Batman Detective Comics issue 958. This turned out to be a really interesting start to a new arc. I have been a bit curious to know about Azrael and who that character is, and his origin and stuff like that. And I think we're gonna get that, or at least some of it, in this arc, Intelligence arc. And it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do with this. And then at the end of this issue, we get a guest appearance by another character that I've heard of, but I've never read anything with her in, Satana. I think that might be a bit of a spoiler, but Hulk issue 7 is gonna be an interesting arc, I think. A new artist on the book. I don't mind, but I did, however, really like the art on the first arc, so to say. Here's an example of what the art looked like now. And yeah, we have like Jen Walters having found a way to deal with her anxiety, I guess, or deal with the fact that she is now a different type of Hulk. And yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do with the character and how they develop it, the book, and where we are gonna go with this in the future. Royal City issue 4. The next issue will conclude the first story arc, and I have not yet decided if I want to continue the series or not. But I hear that they are gonna take the story, or Jeff Lemire is gonna take the story in a totally different path after this arc. I guess this arc was gonna be about setting the character and setting the town around the character, and it's gonna be, I think, hopefully interesting to see what he does with this. The artwork is very Jeff Lemire because he's drawing it. But yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy the watercolors, and the The story, I haven't really decided what I think about it yet, but it's still a good read. Black Hammer, issue 10, another Jeff Lemire book by Dark Horse this time. I enjoyed this issue, what I remember of it. There were some things going on, I won't spoil that, but they found talkie-walkie, and you got some character building for the what's his name, the Martian type thing, type person, the shapeshifter, and you got some backstory to Abraham Slam as well, as he tried to deal with getting older in the old world. Yeah, I find this series just awesome to read, and I hope it goes on for a long while, at least 30 or 40 issues. That's gonna be fun to see what he can do with this. The artwork is just awesome. It really fits the story. It's a really different style, but yeah, here's an example of that without too many spoilers. Odyssey of the Amazons, issue 6 out of 6. So this ended this month, or the last month. Thankfully, I haven't been enjoying the story that much. I kind of regret that I continued it and didn't cancel it after issue 1, or cancel my subscription to it. The artwork, there's basically nothing to complain about the artwork, but the storytelling and the pacing of the story, and yeah, it's not what I usually enjoy reading. So the Courier, issue 3. It's a series that is basically what I would classify as a popcorn series or popcorn movie. Just easy to read, not that much substance to it. It's just popcorn flick, basically. Yeah, it's gonna end this month. 2 issues this month. Kind of happy to see it go. But yeah, hopefully it's gonna end in a good way, at least. Batwoman issue 4. I think this was the end of the first story arc, including the Rebirth issue. I've enjoyed it. It's been a bit of a slow pace to the story, but the story itself has been mostly focusing on building the relationship between Kate Kane and I can't remember the character's name, but a woman she met in the past, and they have been in the story. They've been going back and forth between the past and the present. The Old Guard issue 5. Awesome story, awesome arc. It felt like a movie when I read it. Great storytelling. I like the artwork, but mostly when it's set in a dark setting, or the colors are representing nighttime, basically, or dimly lit inside areas. Really cool premise. I think they're gonna make a movie of it. If they aren't, they should. It really is an interesting take on the whole immortality soldier thing. And yeah, really cool. I'm excited to get to read the next arc when it comes out in next year, early next year, I guess. It's gonna be a long wait, but hopefully worth it. Trinity issue 10, written, drawn, and colored by Francis Manapul. I enjoy his artwork. This is a really fun, interesting story as well. There's some sort of alien parasite invasion of the satellite they call the Water Tower, which is plunging towards Earth, and you get some backstory to where these parasites come from and what those civilizations have done to get rid of it, or try to get rid of it. I find this really interesting, and I want to see more of Francis Manifold's writing and artwork. But I think there's one more issue, and then in August we're getting another writer for a couple of issues and another artist as well. The Black Monday Murders by Jonathan Hickman, the master of world building in comics, I guess, along with Greg Rucka, and art by Tom Coker. Awesome artwork, great storytelling. I have so many questions, and I get so few answers through each issue, but just enough to get me just blooded teeth, I guess. I just want more each issue I get, so hopefully it's gonna go on for a while more, and hopefully it's gonna pay off. And knowing what I've read so far by Jonathan Hickman, it's gonna pay off. Maybe this isn't that appropriate to show, but there's at least some example of the artwork and the coloring involved. Invisible Iron Man issue 8. I feel that there's something missing to understand all of the story in this issue, I guess. I think maybe I'm missing some part of the story from another series, I don't know. I hear that it was gonna run alongside the infamous Iron Man, and I don't read that. So I might have missed some important part of the story through that issue. But I really do like the artwork, as always, with Stefano Caselli, and I think they're kind of creating a new bad guy, or maybe not a new bad guy, but a new nemesis for Riri to fight in the future with Lady Von Bardas. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. I like the series, and I'm going to continue it for the foreseeable future, at least. Batman issue 25, anniversary size issue, basically a bit longer, but a hell of a start to a new arc. I'll say that. Joker and the Riddler both. Yeah, it's gonna be an awesome 8-issue arc. For those are one of my favorite villains from Batman, at least the Riddler. I really enjoy reading what he can do, or reading about him as the villain in Batman. And yeah, this with art by Michael Janin is just, or Michel Janin, is just phenomenal. Works perfectly. And this might be a bit of a spoiler, but nah, probably not. It's just a big spread of the Joker. And then we have The Few, issue 6 out of 6. So this is another miniseries that ends this month. I'm sad to see it go. I have enjoyed each issue as it's been released, but sometimes with the artwork being so stylized, I've had some troubles with the action sequences, but all the slower parts have been just great, but the story is just awesome. They have built a world that I'm really interested in. I want to read more of this world, or of this series, but I'm just gonna have to be happy to have this 6-issue run, and imagine what they could have done in the future with this. Supergirl, Being Super, a prestige format with a square binding, 48 page story, no ads, extra quality with a cardstock cover and stuff. I felt though that this series didn't conclude that well. It left many of the story threads hanging, and it showed that there might be other miniseries in the future with this. If so, I hope they will continue the story threads that they've created or started on with this 4-issue miniseries. Hopefully it does well enough for DC to want more, and in this format as well. And artwork is just awesome. Great artwork by Joel Jones. Here's an example. The Flash, issue 25, another anniversary issue as well. So it's a bit larger or longer story. I found it interesting. I think it's gonna be a 3-issue arc or a 2-issue arc with Running Scared, and then we'll have another small arc following that. I find the Reverse Flash kind of interesting. We get a kind of rebirth retelling of the origin of the Eobard Thawne, basically. And yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see what they do with this. Really enjoyable. Detective Comics Intelligence Part 2. Satana is in this issue. We get some backstory for the relationship between Batman and Satana. It's gonna be fun to read, and the following issues with the new threat and what's happening with Azrael, or Jean-Paul, as he's also called. And the end of this issue, the artwork really fits. It's a really cool ending to this story, or at least this issue. The Defenders, issue 2. Good follow-up to the first issue. We get a little bit more of the dynamic between the 4 characters, and then you get some more build-up of what Diamondback, who is the main antagonist in this first arc at least, what he's trying to do. Yeah, I found it really cool. Great artwork, great coloring, great presentation basically. And then we have a guest appearance by a character in the Marvel series before, Blade. Yeah, maybe that's a minor spoiler, I don't know. But yeah, interesting. I want to see more. I want to read more. And the last issue of this haul is Exo Manowar issue 4. And we have a new artist on the book, and with that, a new part of the overarching story arc, with a new story arc, so to say. We have Ark and the gang hunting for the cadmium president or emperor, and Ark and the gang basically realizing something towards the end of this issue about the people they are fighting for. And it's looked like we're gonna get a new alliance in the series for the future, and I find this series really enjoyable reading. And the art by Doug Brightway, I find it a suitable follow-up to Thomas Diorello's artwork from before. Here's an example of the artwork I'm talking about by Doug Brightway. Still the same feel to the book as before, so I'm happy. So thank you for sticking through to the end of this video, and I hope you have enjoyed it. And if you have any questions about these books, just let me know in the comment section. If you have any suggestions for new books to pick up, just let me know in the comment section as well. And hopefully you will have a great week of reading, and see you around. Bye bye.